first map of the second day of this $10,000 tournament. Uthermal versus Keiras. We got Keiras in the red upper right-hand side playing as the Infernal and Uthermal as the Vanguard in the bottom right-hand side as blue.
Oh, I hope my brain can keep up with that one. All right, let's go. Jagged Maw, our first map, seems to be very hot on this planet. A little bit desert-inspired. Perhaps somebody like me, a big fan of Dune. By the way, I got the pre-orders in already for the ticket coming out end of this month. I hope you guys are excited as well. But let's focus on this map. It is a map with axis symmetry, meaning that in the middle of the map, if we look at the minimap on the horizontal axis, this is where everything is flipped. And so we don't have the point symmetry, but along the axis. There's going to be some destructible, I almost said rocks, but it's petrified trees, I suppose, as well. You can cut through to shorten the path between the two bases. And perhaps most interestingly, we have some siege creep camps on this map.
Exactly, and you can cheese a little bit, as Infernal especially, to get them early and try to overwhelm. But that doesn't seem to be the case here. We see 2 dogs already coming in, where Uthermal was very, very heavy on the second resource there. Ooh, don't want to lose that god early, but the dogs prevail.
Oh. Didn't get a fiend out either. The dogs get away, at least. Can't do more damage. But yeah, those dogs early on, such high move speed, really high active potential. And they get their first kill there right away. Well done. Important pickoff. And a lot of workers on Ethereum here right away.
That's right. And these dogs, they barely have health anymore. But since they are bio and mech, they can be repaired now. And then, as we said during the intro phase of this cast, it's a lot about restoring and preserving. And this is exactly what will happen here now. Power build for the hangar bay. And we get air units. And that is, of course, nice, as you can just fly up into the north and tear this economy apart.
So here we see the reason for the heavy Ethereum at the start. We're going to have a hangar bay right away. This most likely should mean Hornets, though we'll see what is going to be coming out in a moment. Not repairing the dogs just yet. Now, there we go. They've done a good job. Good boys. And they deserve being patched up.
Yeah, this strategy was called Horn Dogs yesterday, with the dogs first and then the Hornets follow up. I really, really like that, and I will immediately steal that. I wonder what Keiras' response is to this. He should be aware of this happening now, and then there's several options to play against this. You can go for the Gaunts, but it's not really that effective. You would love to have some towers, or you can go for the Shadow Flyers to just detonate into the Hornets, but that is further down the tech tree and also pretty expensive.
Oh, good scout though. The Fiend spotting the Hornet on the way in right away. Some valuable seconds to get prepared for this attack. Anti-air though in the form of Gaunts still a little ways off. Oh, and here comes the shield on the Hornet as well. It's a 1000 HP shield for 10 seconds. And that's always the baller move. You put that on and your opponent just has to run.
Almost like an invulnerability potion, trying to micro against this now, but yeah, Gaunts.
That's a lot of kills. That's a lot of kills.
Very good if they snowball, but in one
With
fight,
attack speed.
Not that much. Yeah, Hornets are going crazy, and now you send them back to the hangar, and the next one pops in.
Damn. Really strong play here by Uthermal. Playing this build absolutely wonderfully. Finally, we have a Shroud Stone, right? Yep, now it's ready, but it doesn't have infinite range. Hornet number 2 here still active, preventing mining from the main base. Uthermal doing a great job here, inflicting serious damage. Which I guess, though, he does have to, because with this aggressive opening, the thing that he doesn't have is a second base.
That's right, Keiras ahead in that regard. And ooh, can you get that Conclave up? It's close. It's too close, I guess, and has to cancel it. Nice tower setup, so not too much economy damage possible. And I think we see that Uthermal is not going too heavy on the Hornets.
Yeah, only 2 I think we've seen so far.
Oh, there we go.
3. Okay. Serious damage now stacking up. One of them has been promoted to veteran already. The 2 Shroud Stones in the main will help though, but what about the expansion? He's scouting things out. And there we don't have that much defense.
That's right, and Ethereum is what you absolutely need for the late game stages. As Infernal, they're super Ethereum heavy. And where to get that? Outside the main base, of course, they're on the high ground, but there's no tower. And I think the game is looking more and more as if Uthermal will take this.
Just clicking on the shrine, half HP already. Is there some way to defend it? Trying to go for Shroud Stones, but they're either too far away or too late. And this expansion is getting sniped. Wonderful, aggressive strategy here by Uthermal, which is working out beautifully so far. We have a couple of Gaunts again coming out, but they never seem to be sufficient in numbers.
Through that, and it all comes down, of course, to the very, very early moments of this game where the two dogs were able to kill one of these Gaunts, and then from there on out, it's a little bit snowbally. We have the shield up once again, and the damage is just too crazy. If you can deal with the towers now, with that little group of Hornets, you're in a very, very comfortable position.
And the Gaunts have just been having a tough day, buddy. This is not a fun day at the office, let me tell you. Everything's just been going wrong, and Uthermal... Hold on. Has he not lost a single unit yet this game?
I don't think so. The two dogs were saved. He sent the Hornets back to hangar to heal up now. Would love to have a little bit more repair here, but should be fine. It's a little time to breathe for Keiras, though. So what's he doing with that sad time?
What is he doing indeed? I think we have a couple more Shroud Stones coming up here in the main base. I can't blame him for trying to secure his base more. He's been getting absolutely abused this whole game. Re-expanding as well at the expansion, but that shrine is taking quite a long time. Still no tier 2, right? Still no greater shrine, so not much tech coming out.
Also, as far as I saw, no Twilight Spire to go for air units, the Stormgate version of Bat Riders, who do AoE damage if they explode 2 air units, which would be a great way, if microed correctly, to deal with the Hornets. But it's so far away.
Yeah, seems like Uthermal here is in full control. The Hornets have done a terrific job, but as is the case most of the time in RTS games, Arians are, of course, very mobile, and you can use them greatly to harass, but normally they aren't the best bang for your buck just in terms of stats, damage, and health. So perhaps transitioning into a more ground-based army might be the next move. But of course, with these Hornets still active, still all alive, all 7 of them, still looking for little holes and weaknesses to poke into, but now we finally have a big Gaunt count. It took a long time to get here, but this should be sufficient now to deflect this force.
Okay, with that, Uthermal pulls back, maybe takes care of some camps in the meantime. The thing about the Gaunts is... Oh, there we see the Twilight Spire, by the way, for the AoE anti-air unit of Infernals. Thing with Gaunts is, they're pretty good in the early game, and Fiend Snowball can win you games, but down the road, against the big Bio Ball that Vanguard loves to build down the road, they're pretty much useless.
And also, Keiras wasn't able to really make use of any creeping, you know, with the Gaunts also being ranged. You can kite the creep cams oftentimes, try to go for some fiends here and there. You mentioned already, the snowball can start to begin, but it's just all defense. Keiras has been holding back, has had to stay back in his main base, has gotten nothing out on the map. Scouting now with a fiend, sees what's going on, and sees Uthermal in a very comfortable position.
We get some dropships here as well. More echo damage coming with some Lancers, and Lancers are incredibly tanky, especially against the Gaunts, as the poison damage that usually is coming from Infest doesn't really work on them. So I feel like some imps are going to the slaughter.
The Greater Shrine did at least just finish. These Gaunts can soon be upgraded with a move speed upgrade, I assume. But what is the next move here? Like, how is Keiras going to try to take control of this game? How is he going to be able to get ahead? Because he's really locked in here. He seems to be very much contained on 2 bases, whereas Uthermal has gotten his 3rd up already.
That's right, and it's supposed to be the other way around. I love the attention to the upper Therium field. As I said, like, the late game units consume so much Therium for Infernal. If you get a big army up, they are competitive, but Uthermal made double sure that this is not happening.
And always scouting well, right? In the early game with the dogs, after that with the Hornets, he always knows what's going on. Here, late game, another dog. Not the most impressive fighter anymore, this stage in the game, but still knows that there's no 3rd base. And with that, Uthermal knows he's in a good spot. Uthermal had a very strong opening, very aggressive opening. Now it almost seems like he's perhaps expecting an attack, holding back on his side of the map, feeling now that he's in the lead.
All right then, but we ain't moving so far. Not satisfied with the army composition is Keiras. Would love to have some Magmadons. We talked about them. One of the coolest units you can build. And we see the Shadow Flyers here, so some anti-air. If they connect well, maybe there is a chance. We see an absurd amount of Gaunts. And a catapult soon.
The siege camp here finally being taken. This is going to initiate the push towards the Vanguard base. Hornets still looking for a little bit of pressure. And now we see the Shadow Flyers. Will they connect? Oh, some of them certainly do. That's 2 Hornets taken out. But also Uthermal sees there's no main army here. They're starting to get suspicious.
Okay, we see reproduction. Another Shadow Flyer coming in. But he needs more. You need 2 per Hornet to get rid of them. One more, just one more could get rid of this entire harass in the north. But I don't think he can afford it right now. Maybe he's out of charges for the production. Very, very unfortunate for Keiras.
Some Hornets went down, but Uthermal still has 3 active, if I see that right. But more importantly, on the left-hand side of the map, there's a huge arming rolling on south. If there's a way back into this game to win it and take the advantage, it will be this one. He's following the catapult, the siege unit, and it seems like it's going to arrive at this 3rd base of Uthermal's.
Oh, we see another connection. Did this justify the means? Oh, with return to hangar, he's outspeeding them. Will they connect in the base is the question and take 2 of them out. Looking good. Gets the double kill. That's fine. Okay, that won't help in the defense, which is coming. The catapults taking care of the static defense, which is amazing versus Gaunts. And that dropship killed, but the Lancers now. These Lancers should tear the Gaunts apart.
Yeah, they have the upgrade as well. So much attack speed and move speed, but they don't like the positioning back there. Feel like they're going to get taken out. Infestation dodged as well. It seems like Uthermal might not have the most units here, but a couple of Exos reinforcing from the left, and suddenly the tide might be turning. Oh yes, it certainly has. All the Gaunts suddenly going down. Looked good for just a few seconds, but Uthermal won't give this lead away.
Exactly. The straight up fight, the Lancers hold their ground, and then the Exos come in, and whatever you click on with Exos is gonna die in high numbers. And from here on out, it is a gigantic snowball for Uthermal. He was ahead at the very, very beginning of the game thanks to the Gaunt kill, and then went further ahead with the Hornet play, and now this map is his oyster.
Got a couple of medtechs out as well. Now everything can be healing over time. Some units are still hurt, but Uthermal seems to have a big death ball here at the ready. And he knows as long as he takes care of the opponent's 3rd base, he will still be favored in the economic department. And this Infernal's army doesn't look that huge either.
No Magmadons, no chance, I would say. No stun, no AoE, and no way to deal with these Lancers. Look at them, they barely take any damage here. And there's the GG. The first map of the day goes to Uthermal.
Well played. Good strategy. The Horn Dog strategy, I must say I'm also very fond of that name. Working out quite well here. And I think you hit the nail on the head there at the start when the first Gaunt goes down, it slows down your momentum so much. The 2 dogs doing a terrific job. I hope they got a treat back at home. They certainly deserved it. And Uthermal comes in swinging hard. Takes map 1. At least Keiras should know to have a close eye on that strategy moving forward.
Right on. Of course, we have to say that Uthermal is coming into this as the favorite, as the higher seed. So the underdog didn't prevail here. But in the beginning, it was very close, though, wasn't it? The 2 dogs just surviving by a couple of HP. If that goes the other way and the Infernal player is able to creep a little bit and put the pressure onto the Vanguard player, the entire game might look a little different.
Yeah, map 2 now is going to be the map choice of the Infernals player. And as we mentioned before, there's no bans in this system. So we have 4 maps total. We're always going to be starting map 1 on Jagged Maw. And then you have free reign, free pick of which map you want to go for next. What do you think? Being the Infernals player, Neo, what would you see more here out of the 3?
Oh, put me on the spot, eh? I always like Broken Crown for just the amount of creep spots. As we said, with Gaunts, you create fiends from creeps, and the more fiends you get, the more tempo you got, and then you can overwhelm in the early game while gathering resources from killing creeps. So Broken Crown could be a potential pick.
Yeah, I could also certainly see that. The speed camp up there in the corners, or down there in the corners, always seems to work out pretty well. You pull that out, you kite it. Players of this level will certainly have the micro to pull that off. Couple of tricky maneuvers you can go for on this map as well. You can use some workers to cut through the trees, maybe look for a backstab into the natural or into the main base. Broken Crown, I think, has made for a lot of interesting tactical variety already. We'll find out in a moment.
I can tell you already. I can tell you already. I'm
can
in the
tell me
lobby
already?
already. Yeah, Titan's Causeway, my dude. I did not expect that at all. I didn't even prepare for this map.
Yeah, I have basically not seen this map at all yet, to be honest. So this will be a learning experience for you and I and our viewers. And perhaps that's why Keiras might be picking this map. This is certainly the least explored, the least developed map so far. Perhaps wants to take Uthermal out of his comfort zone and force him to play something unusual.
Let's go. This was the map we saw first, I think, of the map between TLO and Monk from the very, very, very early alpha stages of Stormgate. Now we see it again half a year later. On the upper right-hand side, we got in the leading position as Vanguard player is Uthermal, and his opponent is Keiras, facing elimination as here today in the round of 64. There's no fallback net anymore. If you lose, you're out.
Going for a bit of a wall off in front of the base right away there at the ramp. Scout gonna be scouting as the name suggests. What is
this is now interesting, right? Because this map was not part of the map rotation in this week of open play testing. It was part of earlier play tests, but maybe people didn't focus on that at all. So this is a good underdog pick if you prepared a certain strategy for it.
So perhaps this time it's going to be Keiras having something specific in mind. We're going to have the two dog tag team. Once again, the Paw Patrol is on the way. Lots of scouting being used, and that first gone. This time accompanied by a brute. That's a good friend that keeps you safe.
Nice to see. Blocks the ramp so nothing can enter. And of course, it is supposed to be your tank once you approach the creep camps, because you really don't want to take damage on your Gaunt. And with that, Keiras, what's your opening really? Is he doubling down on dogs? It kind of looks like it. So we're going to establish a group of 5 and then go into Lancers, I guess.
Nothing on Ethereum just yet. We have Keiras, excuse me, entirely focusing on the Luminite. And, oh, gets a kill here. Catches once again, very well done. The Gaunt outside the base, and that's again an annoying loss to suffer.
Oh no, another imp going down. These doggies are hungry. They're a little bit ill right now, but I think they're going to be sent to the doctor, and then they will be fine. Super important early game moments once again by Uthermal, and Keiras finds himself in a position he'd rather not be in, and that is pretty much the situation of map 1 as well, just that different units are coming his way. This time wouldn't expect Hornets outside of Jackmaw, but this is now pretty much total map control for Uthermal.
Yep, precisely. He's picking off some small camps here and there if he can, getting a few more resources. The dog is able to sprint across the map, and you know you're going to be safe from everything. They can always make it back home in time if they need. But Keiras right now is not thinking of aggression at all. A little bit of creeping, looking for the speed camp, while we have Uthermal with a much earlier expansion this time.
Yeah, speed camp's obviously amazing for Infernal players. 5 creeps, so you get 5 fiends, and you get the resources for every single creep there is. So these are the juicy ones. Oh, the ramp wasn't blocked anymore, and now the dogs found a new home.
They're all hurt already. The Gaunt might be able to get some kills, but 5 dogs at the same time is still a little bit dangerous. Brute may need to help out, but we also have a lot of imps here going down. Some of these dogs promoted already, but this might be their last mission, I'm afraid. Trapped now in the main base, but did good damage, got a great scout off, and I would say they served them well.
Yeah, Exactly. With 5 dogs, you can basically one-shot a brood. We've seen that. And he also killed the Therium Imp. You absolutely need Therium Imps. Otherwise, you can't go for more gaunts and can't go for a high attack, which you then need to deal with the Lancers. So, loss of map control to a degree. But now, we'll see the strength of the Lancers, hopefully with the upgrade. Sweet surround. Double surround, actually. But, okay, gets it. 2 new Fiends. Nice attack by Keiras.
Bit of a misclick on the sentry post, I think. He sent the bomb in there for Repair-O-Matic, and now he has to make a sentry post in the main base. It's taking a while. Power build coming in, but the sentry post might be cancelled. Seems like it will. Wasn't cancelled. No resources back, and that will just do it. Enough damage is done.
Okay, with the Buzzsaw static defense, could have been an easy hold, but you were right. Repair-O-Matic was not what he needed there. The static defense of Vanguard is pretty damn cool. Whatever infantry unit you put in, there's a different effect to it. Yeah. Buzzsaw Cannon does a lot of damage to infantry of bio or on the other side, but there was nothing really to repair at that moment, right? So immediately exploited, and a very, very fast game too, with Keiras seizing the opportunity immediately.
Yeah, quick, fast, and in a hurry here. Our game number 2 wasn't even really a big force. How much was that? Like 4 brutes, 4 gaunts, and a couple of fiends. But I would say also the map here taken advantage of very well. He went for the speed camps, obviously, making his army there a lot more dangerous. And on this map specifically, keeping the natural and the main safe seems to be pretty tough. The ramp is set up in a weird way where it kind of creates an entrance for both bases. And then Keiras had his pick of the litter and went for the main base, and there was no defense there. I wonder if the Buzzsaw Cannon finishes, is that even going to be enough to deflect this attack? Seems like the Infernal Army could have just run into the main base.
Well, then maybe a second cannon is up and you hold that way. It would have helped a ton, since the Fiends were all surrounding these Lancers. If you're getting too close to that Buzzsaw, the Fiends all gonna be disappearing. But hey, we'll never know, Remo. We never know.
We will soon know who's going to advance here victorious. We're going to go to the map 3 Decider next. An advantage, of course, for Uthermal. He's going to have his map pick coming up next. And it's going to be one of 2, either Secluded Grove or Broken Crown.
And we have the answer in a second. Both Broken Crown it is. All right, that was the map that was played first during this playtest. And man, our big favorite, Uthermal, struggling, facing elimination here. Whoever wins this advance in the round of 32 today, you got to win 3 maps, 3 series total to advance into the $10,000 main event. So tournament life on the line here.
Yeah, the competition is ramping up. This is nothing for the weak-minded. The pressure is on. No mistakes allowed. 3 wins to advance, 1 loss to be out, and let's jump into our third map.
I'd say Uthermal wasn't too prepared for this map. Keiras used it greatly. Here we go. Okay, we once again have 2 speed camps here. This is the map with the most camps, I guess. We have 2 vision towers in the middle. We got 4 resource sections there, as well as 2 speed camps and the healing section that will help you a little bit with Therium, but the healing effect can probably be neglected. Annoying dog harass at the early stage. I think everybody who played on ladder will be used to that by now. So the game plan for Keiras doesn't really change, I'd say. Get some Therium in, get a Brute, get a Gaunt, and then try to use the speed camps as best as you can.
2 Bobs on power build right away. Did he only make 1 dog this time? Or made 0, I guess. This is the starting dog. Is this a fast mech bay? No.
Could be a relatively simple and safe bio setup. First and foremost, I guess he has to block the main to be safe, but wait, 3 imps? 2 imps? One is to cut trees, no? They seem a little confused, just as I am.
Might be looking for a quick expansion. Yep, there it is. Keiras with a fast second base. This one seems to be a little bit easier to defend than, for example, the last map. We have 1 big ramp leading up there, but we have the dog heading up right now. So if you protect that ramp, you protect both bases. Unless somebody cuts through the trees at the backside. That is a tactical specialty you can go for on this map. Well, we see the first Lancer out as well. Uthermal is taking early map control here, but not really finding any damage just yet.
Not yet. He didn't build anything of value that tells us too much. So far, it's Lancers trying to get the resource camp boosted up a little bit. And then we move away from the main bases and explore the map a little bit, as of course we need a Gaunt to tank. But I haven't seen an imp cutting through the trees on the left-hand side just yet. So maybe no speed camp first.
Yeah, the trees are still enjoying a pristine condition up until now. Later on, of course, there's also units that can take care of trees. For the Infernals, we have the Magmadon, for example, with their slamming ability can bust through these trees. And also the Vulcans for the Vanguard can do something similar, or the Atlas. But we've been rather low tech this whole series so far.
That's right. Both players were hitting their power spikes quite nicely. One with the Hornets and one with the Gaunts. And those games were basically over then. Now I want a long tug of war in the late game to see all the units these factions have to offer. Keiras with a bit of a faster expansion. At least he started it faster. Oh, last hit maybe. Tried to get it with the bouncing attack, but Uthermal with a resource boost. Also a boost on his Bobs. So economically, it should be pretty even now.
Yeah, perhaps the most even game we've seen so far for a third map decider. But Uthermal is able to get a few camps in here and there. Only level 1 camps, of course, don't give you so much yet, but they will get stronger over time. Another 40 Luminite takes those, thank you. The Lancer-based army here taking control of the middle of the map.
Yeah, as we said, they're so tanky, and nothing in the early game really deals with them except a lot of fiends. Now Keiras focusing on the health camp. That's probably the only thing he can do at the moment without being contested. Gives him Ethereum, might lead to a fast attack.
Microing his units properly as well. The Stag, hard to bring down. The honorable king of the forest. Yeah, Uthermal taking more camps, still looking what he can find with these Lancers, but I doubt he's gonna dare to go up this ramp.
Total map control thus far. There's one Shroud Stone to help on the defense. There's 2 Broods to tank. And that should be fine then. For both players, now the big question. What is the next move? We saw Bob moving out for either another base, which would be a bit ambitious. We see the Hangar Bay. A couple more Hornets. So it's Lancers and Hornets this time. Or was it just for a drop? Ooh.
And we have
we're going to the left-hand side
this time. Oh, the Imp opened the way. Is that the invitation? Of course, it's been scouted, so it might be a little too bold to head in there. Seems like a well-balanced army on the side of Keiras. We have 4 Brutes and a bunch of Gaunts behind.
Now the entire army was moving to the left. Are you coming from there? Aye, this is hard to defend here now, but also to get an angle. The dog is obviously helping with a lot of vision, can track army movement really nicely. And we get more fortification. Nobody seems really content to go for an early push, and why would they? But now I think we see that the Bob was moved to the left-hand side to open up the trees, but since they're opened up already, there's the entry. Could be a little weird if we get a meat farm up in there. This choke is hard to come by right now.
Uthermal also cut through the trees, getting ready for a third base, still nicely controlling the movement of the opponent. And indeed, Keiras' army hasn't been too active, not much fighting, not much creeping, not much killing, which means not much animus. Not too much you can use there just yet in terms of rituals, whereas of course the specific resource for Vanguard automatically increases over time.
Hornets are coming out indeed. It's not too normal, I guess, but if you want to poke onto the Ethereum workers, then that's of course the perfect choice if you don't want to commit to a drop. That's exactly what we get, but we have an anti-air solution already. If he has the resource, he can go for Shadow Flyers pretty much right away. Might need 3 of them, depending on the AoE, depending on how you connect. But this is way easier to deal with than on Jackmore map. One nice snipe! Oh no, he didn't pay attention! The Hornets!
Oh, they got all!
And all the resources
no.
down the drain.
Oh, it could have possibly dealt with these Hornets and relieved a lot of headaches, but yeah, small mistake there. Unfortunately, the Shadow Flyers being sniped. Very well done, though, by Uthermal. Really keeping his eye on that and making sure he's going to take care of that threat once it arrives. And this certainly seems to put him in the lead now.
Indeed, looking good. 3 bases up. On the left-hand side, we see an Infernal base establishing as well. Here we see the Buzzsaw cannons well protected against any Fiend run-bys. But we also saw the first Magmadons. The core later on. Oh, another harass. Oh, this is so obnoxious. This shield, man. What an ability.
He's handing out the shield. He's just trying to fight through it. And Uthermal's going to pull it back. Seems like perhaps one Shroud Stone could have been a good investment over there. The Theorem is always going to be exposed on this map, being next to the cliff and everything. Shroud Stones are very cheap, in fact. But I guess right now it's about building army for Keiras. And to be honest, he has a respectable army. And Uthermal must remember that also on map 2, he was overwhelmed suddenly by an infernal host coming his way. So he must make sure this time he's prepared for it.
True that. I'm not 100% sure what Uthermal killed at the bottom. Was it a Shadow Cliff? That would block the tech tree for Magmadons for a long time. And, you know, one Magmadon looks cool, moves cool. The trampling ability is nice to use, but you really want to have them like 3 or 4 or even 5 of them to spread the AoE, especially with the stun. And if that tech building died, then he's in a lot of trouble.
Speaking of the stun, it seems like the upgrade was researched, so the trample does stun indeed. And here come the Shadow Flyers. Trying to connect this time, but the Hornets are so fast, making it back home again.
Yeah, and then we saw how little damage the Gaunts are doing. Very defensive play. Just the Hornets poking and stinging a little. 15 workers here, a little oversaturated, but yeah, Uthermal is preparing the big bio ball. That's so scary. Like, how do you deal with it? Is still the big question for late game Infernal. Oftentimes the answer seems to be exploding imps. But not sure if he got there yet, because it's very, very late down the tech tree.
Oh yeah, I've seen them very little so far. The Flame On ability, it's called, right? You have to research that first, and then imps can flame on and become explosive. Very much reminiscent of Banelings. But they have a very short lifespan when you do that, so you gotta be careful with how you use that.
4 seconds, man. You got 4 seconds to connect, otherwise they just explode wherever they are. And Hornet. This Hornet choice by Uthermal was amazing. Can only kill 1 here thanks to the shield and that expo. Is that still enough? Yeah, has to be cancelled again. Little bit too late with the Shadow Flyers once more.
I like that shield though. He was trying to use it last second, so perhaps the Shadow Flyers take the wrong target, but also good reaction by Keiras. Yeah, the big army is being built. Speaking of big army, here also the Infernals with a big blue force knocking at the 3rd base, but Uthermal is looking confident, pushing this back with ease. No real fight just yet.
Exo is so good, so fast, so much damage, but we're establishing quite some Magmadons now. The front line is there, but what's the backup? Is it really just mass Gaunts? We have a bit of an awkward flank where the range units are connecting, but now we see the speed advantage for the Vanguard player. It's so hard to catch if you don't connect with the Magmadons.
Get the quick draw hustle on the Exos and the kinetic redirection on the Lancers. They're so fast here on the chase, looking for more and more kills. And the Magmadons are the big brutes in front. Not actually brutes, but you know what I mean. The cavalry,
I do.
if you will. But they haven't really had a great opportunity yet to use the trample ability.
Nope, not at all. Nicely put in the front, these Lancers. And there we go. Another cancel on that base. These Exos seem to be taking over. We got healing in the front. We got protection in the back, of course. We got protection by Lancers. This position a little awkward. But man, this Vanguard army is just so fast and no stun is connecting indeed.
When is Keiras going to commit? He's been retreating a lot, but now he finally seems to be going in with some flame on imps. Didn't get the hugest connection, but some damage. Did find it.
Didn't get all of it, and that is so expensive. You lose your workers, you lose your income. You also have to invest a little bit. Now the trample, but an experienced player like Uthermal is obviously kiting against that. No weavers just yet. They are also very expensive. And as we said, super duper slow. Could use their abduct ability to grab single units. Maybe the medics. Or medtechs, sorry. But no, not a possibility. And Uthermal is mining and mining, getting even stronger.
But he's only on 3 bases, right? This whole time. Seems like he's had map control for a long while. Oh, this is cool. Sentry post being turned into a med lab, and now he's healing next to these, thanks to the medtech inside. But yeah, having such control of the center of the map, shouldn't there be a 4th base for Uthermal, I wonder?
I don't think he really needs it. Usually, it's the Infernal player who needs to be upper base, especially with a Flame On ability, and you probably always will lose a Magmadon to connect. I'm a bit surprised, to be honest, that we haven't seen a drop just yet. That could be an option, to drop Magmadons in the bag. You have to approach this Vanguard army from several angles to stop their retreat.
We have Uthermal hitting the 3rd base, and this could be big damage. Oh, lots of imps should be going down right here. The main force for Keiras is coming in from the predictable path. No flank, no backstab, so this could be an easy retreat for Uthermal.
Flame On connects to a degree, but still the damage output is there. And then once more, you kite. This was some damage, especially on the Lancers, but they only cost Luminite, so relatively easy to replace. And all that static defense has to be reestablished, and the Therium income is gone from the left-hand side. Keiras in a bit of trouble. Oh, there was something going on at the second base.
I saw it too late. He had 75 gold he got for that. I wonder, was that a cancel maybe? Not quite certain. But the Magmadons that were stranded out there were taken out. We still have a couple of Magmadons. Seems to be a healthy number now available for Keiras, finally getting out on the map and creeping a little bit. But still, it's Uthermal creeping more, getting some good resources here. A bunch of Luminite from these camps, and again falling back to the healing station. And he finally has an evac as well for some drop plays.
Yeah, I love that little sanctuary that he built with the mad techs. These resource camps are getting quite juicy now on level 3, soon to be level 4. How do you crack that? An expansion here on the left-hand side. I actually haven't seen that taken, but the natural at the bottom right-hand side couldn't really get it because the Hornets were destroying it. Now I'm curious if... this is basically just a pure Exo army, right? With a little bit of support. Wonder if that's not a bit too fragile.
Some of them also leveled up to Veteran and Elite already. Some bonus damage there as well. Speaking of damage, this expansion being taken out by some Exos. Nice spread by Uthermal, not clumping up everything. He's trying to keep his army in a large area.
Exactly, you need that. There could always be flaming imps at any point of the game. I wonder if we're getting into dragon territory, because these Magmadons, they are a lot of supply, and supply is what gives you animals, so that could turn the late game around.
Awkward position now for Keiras. Here in this choke point is having a tough time getting in and doing that damage. You touched on the mobility earlier, and now we really see that coming into full effect. The Vanguard army, swift and mobile, kiting across this map, and the Infernals having a tough time connecting.
Ooh, now, maybe, finally, the trample. We see a couple of stuns, but immediately out-healed. Oh, this is devastating here. Can he push through that choke, through that ramp? The Magmadons are holding the fort for now, but it's just an absurd amount of Exos, and with that, an absurd amount of damage. Finally, we get a little bit of siege damage here to operate from range, but too little, too late. You need like 5 of them to one-shot the Exos and get an AoE in, but this is an overwhelming force, and Uthermal takes a 2-1, advances into the round of 32.
All right, right, Uthermal, our favorite, does make it through in the end, but good fight here as well by Keiras. Takes that map 2 very convincingly, and map 3, I would say, a strong back and forth. Didn't seem to have the late game answer, though, to the big bio ball. You were kind of hinting at it already at the beginning stages of the game. Once the Vanguard gets to the super late game, gets to this big army, which can have such high mobility in the right scenario, having the correct answer to it seems difficult. We saw, I think it was 2 Hellborn there at the very end, right? Trying to throw those attacks from long range, trying to get that AoE to really connect, but wasn't enough. 2 Hellborn only, that is not really high damage, needed more of them. Perhaps needed some more resource, perhaps needed to expand earlier. But that's, of course, where Uthermal did such a good job limiting him and slowing down his progression. The Flame Imps, I wonder what developments there still will be made, because they seem to be really hard to use. You have to use the workers, you have to upgrade them, then you only have 4 seconds to use them perfectly. Certainly not an easy task. Perhaps also something that the development of this game will still see changes in the future.